Hello, and welcome to the Fast Book Pod channel, where you'll find the best book summaries. You'll watch book summaries just like watching a movie. Don't forget to subscribe and like the videos for in-depth reviews of great books. Let's get to the book summaries.
Fyodor Dostoyevsky's The Adolescent, also translated as The Raw Youth, is a complex and deeply psychological novel that explores the chaos of identity, morality, family, and ambition through the eyes of a restless young man. The story is told by 19-year-old Arkady Dolgoruki, a conflicted and impulsive youth who is both idealistic and self-centered. He is the illegitimate son of Versalov, an aging nobleman, and a humble peasant woman, Sofia, and this combination of noble blood and peasant roots defines Arkady's entire struggle. He stands between two worlds, belonging to neither completely, desperate to prove himself and to find the purpose of his existence. Arkady begins his story by explaining his philosophy and his obsession with what he calls the idea. He believes that everyone must have a great guiding idea to live by, something powerful enough to give life meaning. For him, that idea is independence. He dreams of freeing himself from all obligations, family, society, wealth, and building his own identity through effort, intellect, and will. But as he begins to move through the world, his youth, pride, and confusion constantly lead him astray. After finishing his education at a provincial boarding school, Arkady returns to St. Petersburg, where he intends to confront his father, Versalov, and understand their complicated relationship. Versalov is an aristocrat who has fallen from grace, intelligent, charming, but morally unstable. He is deeply conflicted, torn between noble ideals and the realities of his disillusioned life. Arkady both admires and resents him. He sees in Versalov the reflection of everything he wants to overcome: weakness, hypocrisy, and dependence on others. Yet, despite his anger, Arkady also craves his father's approval and love. As he settles in the capital, Arkady finds himself surrounded by a web of complex relationships that mirror the chaos of Russian society itself. His mother Sofia remains devoted to Versilov even after years of separation. His sister Liza is sensitive and innocent, yet drawn into emotional turmoil by the people around her. Versilov's household is full of intrigue and tension. His legitimate family resents Arkady's existence, and the servants whisper about his father's affairs and debts. At the heart of the novel lies a strange emotional triangle involving Versalov, a beautiful young widow named Katerina Akhmakova, and Arkady himself. Katerina is intelligent, proud, and emotionally unstable. She represents the kind of passionate, destructive ideal that fascinates both father and son. Versalov has been in love with her, but his feelings are tainted by guilt and shame. When Arkady meets her, he too becomes infatuated, not out of love but out of youthful vanity and rebellion. He wants to prove that he can be as strong and independent as his father, perhaps even surpass him. But Katerina, caught in her own emotional storms, manipulates both men in different ways, drawing them into a dangerous competition of pride and humiliation. Meanwhile, Arkady's obsession with money becomes another symbol of his inner conflict. He inherits a small sum from a family friend and sees it as the key to his independence. He wants to use it to build his fortune and become free from everyone's influence. But his naive attempts to manage it lead to betrayal and loss. He becomes entangled with shady characters, former schoolmates, petty crooks, and manipulative schemers who exploit his pride and inexperience. Throughout the story, Dostoyevsky paints a vivid picture of Petersburg society, full of contradictions, decaying nobility, desperate dreamers, revolutionaries, religious fanatics, and lost souls searching for meaning. Arkady's path crosses with all of them, and each encounter challenges his beliefs. He meets people who mock his idea of independence, reminding him that no one can truly live apart from others. He also witnesses moral corruption, greed, and hypocrisy, realizing that the world he thought he understood is far more complex and cruel. As Arkady narrates his experiences, his tone swings between arrogance and deep self-doubt. Sometimes he believes he is destined for greatness, a new kind of man who will rise above the failures of his father's generation. At other times, he feels like a fool, lost, humiliated, and unworthy. This emotional turbulence makes the novel both intimate and chaotic. Dostoyevsky uses Arkady's voice to explore the psychology of adolescence itself, that fragile moment between innocence and maturity when ideals collide with reality. Versalov, Arkady's father, becomes the novel's moral mirror. Despite his flaws, he is one of Dostoyevsky's most tragic and human characters, a man of noble dreams, destroyed by his inability to act with integrity. His relationship with Arkady shifts constantly between affection, rivalry, and hatred. At times, he treats his son with contempt, mocking his youthful ambitions. At other times, he confides in him, revealing his own despair and longing for redemption. One of the most powerful scenes in the novel occurs when Versalov confesses to Arkady his vision of humanity, his dream of unity, brotherhood, and love that transcends class and ego. This spiritual confession becomes a turning point for Arkady. He realizes that his idea of selfish independence may be shallow compared to the deeper moral truth his father, in his broken way, has discovered. Yet, he cannot fully accept it. He is still too proud, too young. As the story unfolds, Arkady's illusions continue to collapse. His romantic obsession with Katerina ends in humiliation. His financial schemes fail. His father's past scandals resurface, dragging the family name through the mud. Even his friendship with the kind-hearted and eccentric Makar Dolgoruki, an old servant who loves him like a son, cannot save him from his own mistakes. But amid all this failure, Arkady begins to grow. Slowly, painfully, he starts to understand the world, not as he wished it to be, but as it truly is. He learns that true freedom does not come from rejecting others, but from accepting one's responsibilities and imperfections. In one of the novel's most reflective moments, he admits that his youthful arrogance blinded him, that his idea of isolation was only fear, disguised as strength. By the end, Arkady achieves no grand success, no dramatic victory. Instead, his triumph is internal, a step toward maturity, toward humility, toward understanding the human heart. He reconciles with his mother, forgives his father, and lets go of his pride. He still dreams of doing something meaningful, but now with the awareness that life's meaning cannot be found in ambition alone, it must be lived through compassion, struggle, and connection with others. The Adolescent is not a novel of events so much as a novel of emotions and ideas. Dostoyevsky uses Arkady's coming-of-age to explore timeless questions. What does it mean to be free? Can a person exist without faith or love? Is pride a form of strength or weakness? And how do we reconcile the contradictions within ourselves? Like many of Dostoyevsky's works, the book blends psychological realism with philosophical depth. Every character reflects a different piece of the human soul versus love's moral decay. Katerina's passion, Arkady's confusion, and Makar's selfless love. Through them, Dostoyevsky shows that the path to truth is painful, but necessary. In the final pages, Arkady looks back at his chaotic experiences, not with bitterness but with gratitude. He realizes that his mistakes were part of his journey toward self-knowledge. The title itself, The Adolescent, captures that essence. The raw, unfinished human being, full of contradictions, reaching blindly toward adulthood. Dostoyevsky leaves us with no neat resolution. Life, he suggests, is a constant struggle between pride and humility, sin and redemption, isolation and love. But as long as one continues to seek meaning, sincerely, there is hope. Arkady's story ends not with despair but with the faint light of understanding, a glimpse of the wisdom that comes only through pain.
It was a very good book. Did you like it too? You can write your thoughts in the comments section. See you in the next summary.